Hello, everyone. How are you doing? How has your week been? Welcome to another episode or series on the Stellar Life Show. And today we'll be having an insightful conversation. And you would agree with me if you've been following the YouTube channel, you'd have noticed that we've had insightful conversations over the past 4 weeks. We started with a conversation on the triad, the need for mentors, advisors, and sponsors as we go through our career. We also moved on to having a class on the pitch, understanding what an elevator pitch is and crafting an elevator pitch for yourself and what an elevator pitch is and is not. From there, we moved on to career transitions, to go or not to go, making that very important, significant decision as you go through your career. From career transitions, we also talked about understanding your career seasons. Where exactly am I in my career trajectory? And today we're going to be speaking on the competence ladder. Because the truth is, as you go through your career seasons, as you go through several transitions, there will be a need for you to develop certain form of skill sets and competencies that will be required to grow in your career. So if you're excited and ready to learn like me, welcome on board. I'll be sharing my screen now. Please take every form of distraction away from you. Tell your friends to watch this video, like it, share it, drop your comment. I promise you that you would not regret this. This is an amazing conversation we're going to be having, and you are at the right place. So here we go, the competence ladder. Now, what does competence mean? Competence means the ability for a person to do a certain activity or a task, right? Competence can also be graded within levels. So you can say, oh, this person has 10% competency in doing this. You can also say, oh, I think this person has 100% competency. I think this person is really great to what they do. You can do a scale of 1 to 10 and say, oh, this person is fairly average. This person is exceedingly well. Whatever term or adjective you want to use, competence can be quantified or qualified. And as we go up in our career seasons, we've seen that there are 4 career seasons. You're either an apprentice, or you're an experienced person, you're a master, or you're an authority. Whichever it is, whichever dimension you have found yourself in these career seasons, there's a need for you to develop your competency. There's a required level of competency to go through your career seasons. So welcome once again to the competence ladder. So introduction. The competence ladder is actually inspired by the conscious competence theory of learning. It was created by Noel Butch of Gordon Training Institute. And this model was crafted in the 1970s. Like I said, competence can be measured or qualified. So this theory or this model that we're going to be talking about today is used to measure the state that you are while you're learning any new skill on your job or in whatever career that you have found yourself. So there's no room for mediocrity. I know that each and every one of us wants to have an accelerated career growth, want to get to C-suite, we have great aspirations, want to be great on our job, want to get promoted. But like I've mentioned now and before, promotion doesn't come to you because you're doing well on your job. Promotion comes to you because you have shown that you're able to handle the task of the next level. So if you know you want an accelerated career, it simply means that there is no room for mediocrity. You cannot settle for less. You have to strive for excellence. Don't forget that perfection can be boring and excellence is a journey. Just make sure that you're always improving. Continuous improvement is the watchword as you go through your career. So there are 4 stages in the conscious competence learning. There are 4 stages. And the first stage is known as the unconscious incompetence, also known as wrong intuition. So it's the unconscious incompetence. And you can call this the stage of ignorance, the stage of I don't know what I don't know. Now, this happens to a lot of us. Sometimes when we start a career, or when we move to another field, or when we get to a certain place, I don't know that I don't know. For example, if a fresh graduate who has studied zoology gets into banking, one of the things that fresh graduate will be required to learn in the training school will be credit analysis, financial statement analysis, ratios. And the truth is, this graduate, even though he is educated with a certificate, has no idea what all of these things are. Prior to now, he doesn't know that he doesn't know. What she doesn't know that she doesn't know until they get into that environment and they see that, oh, wow, I've been ignorant. I never knew there was such a thing as this. So this is a state of ignorance. And the truth is, because we are given to continuous learning, we can't remain in a state of ignorance. So when you find out that you're ignorant about something, what do you do about it? Speaking more to unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence is that part where you need to do a training needs assessment for yourself. For example, it is a given that your organization is supposed to train you. But what if your organization is not coming forth? Would you just wait, say, until my organization trains me? Or would you go ahead to train yourself? Would you go ahead to add more value to yourself? Because your career ultimately is yours. So rather than wait for your organization, if you have found yourself in a position where you have identified that I'm ignorant of a lot of things here, and if I need to level up, if I need to, be like my peers or above and beyond my peers, there's certain skills that I need to learn. I need to retrain myself. So this means that you have sort of done a SWOT analysis, a personal SWOT analysis for yourself to say, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. To succeed on this job, these are the things I need to do. So you have assessed yourself and you've seen the trainings that you need. Ignorance. This is the state of unconscious incompetence, but you cannot dwell there. Now, where you have done your training needs assessment and you have identified the things that you need to learn, it means that you have moved up to the next ladder called the conscious incompetence. So at this stage of conscious incompetence, you are aware. It is a state of awareness. At this stage, you know that you do not know. Before, you didn't know that you did not know, but now it has come to your subconscious. You have been able to identify the gap. You know that you do not know. You are fully aware. When somebody tells you, oh, you're not good at this, you're like, oh, yes, I know. Because you are fully aware. And what you can begin to do at this stage is, now that you have identified the gap, what are you doing to close the gap? What trainings, what learnings, what platforms, what do you need to be better at your job? So for example, giving a case in point, like I gave the earlier illustration of a zoology student or a fresh graduate who has never done banking and finance, who got a job in the bank. So he's aware that he doesn't know credit analysis. And so he begins to find out, what is credit analysis? What do I need to know? What is a farm? What is CAP? These are banking terms. Credit committee. What is a farm? What is a facility memorandum? How does it look like? What are the contents? How do I present this? How do I create one? He begins to say, how can I close the gap? You can then tell yourself, I don't know this. Is there a school for credit analysis? Will I be sent on a training for credit analysis? Is there a senior mentor or a senior banker around me that I can reach out to teach me credit analysis? I really want to be good at what I do. That's if you want to be good at what you do. I want to be the best in the field. How can I go about this? Now, once you have identified this gap, and then you're closing it, it means that you're willing to learn and you've embarked, or you go on that training, enroll, and begin to learn. From there, you move on to competence. Now, here, you have embarked on the training already. You started learning everything that you think you're supposed to learn. What a facility memorandum is, what CAC is, how do you go to CAC, How do you present at CAC for some organization, MCC? How do you get your customer to get a facility from the bank? What are the information that you need? What are the statistics that you need? How can I convince the management to give this sum of money to my clients? What kind of facility does my client want? Do they want an overdraft? Do they want a loan? Do they want a bill of credit? Do they want a letter of credit? Do they want a bill of exchange? BCs, LCs? What exactly does my client want? Understanding the needs of your client so that you're able to communicate to management to avail that facility. Now, this is conscious competence because now you understand. For example, if as a banker, you've learned how to do a farm and you're going to be presenting to the management of the organization about Nigerian breweries and why Nigerian breweries should be given a working capital of maybe 200 billion. You want to explain to the organization what they need that working capital for. You want to talk about the general industry where they operate in, the factors affecting the industry, what makes Nigerian breweries stand out. Why do you think that if they give them this money, it is justified? You have to justify that credit. Why do you think the credit should be availed? When are they going to pay back? What are their financials like? What are the executives like? What is their financial statement all about? Is there a probability that they won't be able to pay? And then when you sort of prepare yourself so much so that you're able to even prepare for questions that that you might be asked by the committee. If they ask you, who are their competitors, you're able to give like top 3 competitors, what are their products, which of their products is the cash cow, which one is the question mark. You're able to speak to certain products. It means that you've properly understood this organization. That is conscious competence. You are able to analyze rightly. This stage, you have learned and you are still learning because learning is continuous. You can never know it all. New things would always come up. So at the stage of conscious competence, you are learning, you are unlearning, and you are relearning, right? So it's very important for us to understand where we are at every given point per time. Now, next is the final stage. Now, this final stage is known as unconscious competence. This final stage is known as unconscious competence. Now, at this stage, you have mastered that skill. You are so good at it that at the top of your head, you are able to do a mental math. When a new person in the organization comes in and is saying, oh, please, what is a farm? Oh, how do I go to CAC? What is the MCC? How do I do this? You are able to just reel it up the top of your head because it's something that you're used to. It's something that you're able to do when they even wake you up. Like I said, you have come to the stage of mastery. At the stage of unconscious incompetence, you are ignorant. You don't even know that you don't know. You move on to conscious incompetence. Now, at this stage, you become aware. You have gotten to the stage of awareness. And then in your conscious competence, you are learning. You're learning about that thing that you do not know that you have identified. And at the stage of unconscious competence, this is the stage where you are now a master. You have practiced, you have done that skill over and over again, that it becomes like second nature. It becomes like second skill. It becomes like what you do. You know, take a child, for instance, when you give birth to a child doesn't know that they don't know how to walk, or they don't know how to crawl, or they don't know how to sit. It is the parent or the mother that begins to help the child to sit with the aid of a pillow and all of that. Months after, the child begins to try to crawl. From crawling, the child begins to hold things to stand. Now the child is becoming aware that I can stand on my own. Oh, I can take one step, I can take the next step, I can walk. Oh, I think I can crawl. The child comes to realization. Over time, the child begins to walk on their own without any aid. And for each and every one of us, where we are, we can run, we can jump. Some of us can do the backflip, some of us can somersault. That's because over time, we have learned it. Now, this is the stage that we would all go through when it comes to learning a skill. Any new skill, whether it's a new language, whatever it is, we would always go through this hierarchy of progression. But what's more important is that we have the right attitude. We have the right attitude to this. So we would always start from the bottom of the pyramid and then we would move on, right? we'll move on. And that is if you have the right attitude to learning. But like we've said, you don't want to spend a lot of time in a certain season. So you can say unconscious incompetence is the season for the entry level, right? Also, conscious incompetence might still be a season for the entry level. But conscious competence is the season where you have the experience and the master playing. If you didn't listen to a class on career transitions and career seasons, I think you should watch it so that you properly understand how to grow up in your career seasons and how this competence pyramid or competence ladder is very relevant to you. Now, let me give another illustration. So we have 4 levels of learning: the unconscious incompetence, the conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. Now, employees in an organization have been given a task to write an article that has SEO optimizations, right? And so, unconscious incompetence, this entry-level people, maybe they don't even understand what SEO optimization is. They just write an article because they can write an article, but they cannot write an SEO optimized article. And then they bring it for review to their senior who is experienced and has gone through this stage before. And the senior looks at it and say, I need to bring their awareness to what an SEO optimized article looks like, and hand them a copy, a sample of an optimized SEO optimized article. And then they read it and they see the difference and are like, oh, now they are aware of what it is. So it means that if you're in the stage of unconscious incompetence, you should be willing and open to learn, right? And then it means one of the ways that you can learn is by getting feedback. And feedback is necessary at the conscious incompetence stage, because feedback is a state that brings you into awareness. So you know what it looks like, contrary to what you think it looks like. And then for conscious competence, you tell yourself, you sort of create a checklist or a mental note of how to do something. That's why if you're learning something, it's always great for you to have a pen and a paper. Don't assume that you will remember all the steps. Don't assume that you know what it is, right? So you want to write it down and say, step 1, select this. Step 2, do it this way. Step 3, this, just so that you don't miss any step to achieve the desired results that has been brought into your awareness. So once you do this over time, you might use a checklist over time. Be using a checklist. But if it's something that you do consistently for 3 to 6 months, it becomes a part of you where you do not need the checklist because you have done it over time. It now becomes an unconscious competence. You have mastered the art. It is something that you can do when they wake you up anywhere in the world and say, write an SEO optimized article. You are able to do so because you have done so over time. All you need is the right attitude to learning. And if you are able to improve, definitely you would grow in your career seasons. Definitely you'll be able to transition successfully. So wherever you have found yourself, whatever season, do you want to transition? Do you want to stay where you are? It's very important for you to make a list of the skills that you need to learn or the competencies that are required for your future goal and your ambitions, and ask yourself on the learning curve, where do I fall? Where am I? What do I need to start learning now? What do I need to start improving on now? And, I decided that to share a learning affirmation with us, something that can always help us. Because, sometimes we think that we have grown so old that we can't go back to learning things. But one of the greatest things that will always happen is change. Technology is coming up with new creations every day, and you need to learn. Because if you do not learn, you'll be dying, right? You'll be dying, you'll fizzle out, you will not be relevant. So to remain relevant, you have to keep learning. So this learning affirmation says, I am committed to continuous learning. Apologies for the spelling error. I am committed to continuous learning and growth. With each new challenge or level or status, I embrace the opportunity to expand my knowledge and skills. I approach learning with curiosity, resilience, and an open mind. I trust in my ability to overcome obstacles and reach my full potential. Every experience is an opportunity for growth, and I am grateful for the journey of learning that enriches my life. The truth is, it is important that we are all open-minded and we're ready to embrace every opportunity for us to learn something new because it makes you valuable, right? What are those new things you can learn on your job? Don't stay in your comfort zone. Do you need to learn a new tool? Oh, you know how to use Excel. Do you know how to use Tableau? Do you know how to use Power BI? What other tools can you use beside Excel? Do you know how to use MySQL? Do you think is necessary? Right? It's not just about learning all of these skills and gathering them for the sake of gathering them. Of course, they would always no experience or knowledge is wasted. It will come in handy. But pay attention, prioritize. What do you need to learn now? Learn with curiosity, be resilient, have an open mind. Trust in your ability to overcome obstacles because learning something new can be daunting. Change can be inconveniencing sometimes. Sometimes we are so resistant to change. We're like, oh no, I'm tired. Things are just changing rapidly. But we always have to keep evolving. We have to keep adapting. We have to be agile. We have to be nimble. So you need to tell yourself that I'm going to reach my full potential. And to reach my full potential, I need to overcome every obstacle. Every experience in life is an opportunity for growth, and you need to be grateful for the journey of learning that enriches your life. It is a life that has experienced several challenges that will be enriched, not a life that runs away from challenges or a life that just wants to stay in their comfort zone, right? Because a rolling stone gathers no moss. You should always want to say, if it doesn't go like this, how else can it go? What are the alternatives? Is there room for improvement? Is there room for change? Because in life, the biggest room that we have is the room for improvement. So are you willing to improve? Very important question that you need to ask yourself. So you might want to always take this learning affirmation when you think you're faced with something daunting that you're not ready for, right? So I want to congratulate you, right? Because once you are able to practice everything that we've learned so far in the past 5 weeks, I can tell you that you will get to the top. Now, this is not just relevant to you, it's also relevant to people around you. There are people around you who are trying to grow, who are trying to improve, and they do not know how to improve. Help them. Help them get better by sharing this class with them. And I can assure you that each and every one of us would be successful eventually. So I want to thank you for joining the class. Thank you for joining the class. Thank you for coming early. Ensure that you share this with your loved ones. There's a need for us to be competent to what we do. Be competent, strive for competence, strive to be better on that your job. You cannot remain where you are and expect a different result. As you're growing, you're becoming experienced, you have new apprentices who are going to come on your wings, who wants to learn. What are you going to teach them? What experiences would you share with them? Right? There is no room for mediocrity. You can't afford to keep playing small. You can't afford to hide. You have to be ready to be a mentor, a guide, a coach, a sponsor when it is time. So I want to say a happy Mother's Day to everyone who is going to watch this. And if you got here, congratulations. To every mother, your wife, every female, happy Mother's Day and happy International Women's Day that just passed as well. The campaign team talks about invest in women, accelerate progress, ensure that you strive for inclusion wherever you find yourself. And this inclusion means that you're striving for equity. Let people be recognized for their competence and what they are good at. If you think a lady is good at what she does, she deserves a promotion, she deserves that paycheck, she deserves a rise, she deserves that seat at that table. I think it's fair enough that you give it to them if they deserve it. Thank you very much for joining this class. If we have any questions right now, I'm happy and willing to take questions. And in the absence of any, we'll call it a day. Thank you for joining.